What is going on, people? This is the JT Sports Show. We are back. It is Monday, February 27th. Last night, the Wolves lost again to the Warriors on the road. Jackson Borst joins me. It's been a little bit. The Wolves have been spiraling. We're going to go through the rest of the schedule as it lies. It's one of the hardest in the NBA the rest of the way. But me and Jackson are going to go game by game and predict the record of the team the rest of the way and where we think that ends up in the standings. Are we going to be the 7? Are we going to be the 8? Are we going to be the 9?
13th?
10? 11? I don't know. But we're going to go through this to start the show. We're going to go through game by game to predict the rest of the schedule, because I think this is a good thing to do right now, because we're currently in the 9 slot. Pelicans lose tonight. I think we move up to the 8 slot, right? Yeah. Pelicans play the Magic tonight at home. I'll be rooting for the Magic.
Actually, the Magic have been pretty good lately.
Magic haven't been bad, but we'll simultaneously, you tell me win or loss, and I'll write down my thoughts, and then we'll go over the totals at the end.
Yeah.
Let's go like this. W, L, W, L. All right. First game tomorrow night, Los Angeles Clippers on the road.
Loss.
Okay. We face the Lakers on Friday at Crypto.com Arena.
Win.
Okay. Sacramento, Saturday.
Loss.
Hold on, I got to write my name down here.
Do you have the same?
I don't know. Philadelphia at home.
Tell me after.
Tuesday, TNT.
I think we're going to win that one.
All right. Brooklyn at home. Brooklyn
will win that one.
They're sort of a mashup of a bunch of wings.
Yep.
Bunch of good players, actually. You said you're going to win?
Yep.
Okay. Atlanta on the road. Trae Young.
I actually think we're going to win that
Snyder.
one. And it's homecoming. I think we're going to win that one.
Okay. Boston, home.
Loss.
Okay. Chicago on the road.
Win.
All righty. I said Chicago on the road. Toronto on the road. Yeah, that's a tough one.
No chance.
New York on the road.
We're going to win that one.
Okay. Atlanta at home. Quinn Snyder. Trae Young coming to Target Center.
It's a letdown game. We're going to lose.
Okay. I have that one. Well, I'll share you later. Golden State on the road.
Loss.
It's a national televised game.
That's a loss.
NBA TV. Okay. Loss for you. I am, let's see. Yeah, we don't win there.
What are we at right now? Like, what do I have our record?
Currently, your record is 6-6.
So, are we 31-31 right now?
We're one game below, 31-32.
Oh, no.
Sacramento on the road.
Loss.
Okay. Phoenix on the road.
Loss.
Okay. Lakers, home.
Win.
D'Angelo Russell is back.
We're going to win that one.
Okay. We move to April. We have 4 games left. Portland at home.
Win.
Okay. Brooklyn on the road.
Win. Michael Grady return.
All right. San Antonio on the road.
I want to say it, but I think we're going to win.
All right. Yeah, I'll give it to us.
If we lose, that's the Finch Fire game.
And New Orleans at home to close out the season.
That's actually going to be a big game for both teams. I want to say loss. I really do, but just for the fun of it, I'll say win.
Okay. Final projected finish to the season. You have the team going 11-9, which would give us
42 and 40,
42 and 40.
or would it be 41?
Well, 11-9, 2 above, so
41 and 41, right?
sorry, 11-8, 42 and 40.
42 and 40.
I have the team going 9-10.
Which ones did we disagree on?
Well, let's go back through it real quick. I had the Lakers loss. I got to remember what I actually selected.
Which one?
Sorry, Clippers. We both had a loss there.
Yep.
I have us. I think I have us beating the Lakers. Lost to Sacramento.
Yep.
Did you have us beating Philly at home?
Yes.
I have a loss.
Yeah.
Brooklyn at home. I have a win.
Same.
Atlanta on the road. I have a loss.
I said win.
Boston at home. I have a loss. Chicago on the road. I have a loss.
Win for me.
Toronto on the road. I have. I think I said win.
I said loss.
New York loss.
Win.
Atlanta at home win. Golden State loss. Sacramento loss.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix loss.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers at home win.
Mm-hmm.
Portland at home win. Brooklyn on the road win. San Antonio win. New Orleans on the at home the final game loss.
Yeah.
So
you have us going 40 and 42.
9-11, 39 and 43.
Oh. Oh no.
All right. Now let's talk about this team. That was a good exercise.
What seed would that put us at? We would be the 10 seed if that's your...
Probably right around 10.
And with me, probably the 8? Maybe the 7?
I think 8. I would take the 8 seed right now and run with it. I really would. Let's talk about the last few games. Obviously, it was the Washington game before the break, Charlotte game at home, and then Warriors last night. All 3 games we had a lead with less than 5 minutes to go. Sorry, Charlotte, we had a lead with like 7 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
Washington game, we had a lead with under 5. And last night, we had a lead with under 5 minutes to go.
Up 9.
Where do you place the blame on a pie chart? Out of 100%, go through percentages, in your opinion, on where the blame lies over the last 3 games and why this team cannot sustain a lead.
Well, first off, I want to say the most egregious out of the 3.
Sure. Keep going.
The first egregious, like the number one most egregious loss out of the 3 is far and away Washington. That was the worst loss I think we've had all season. We were up 20, up 15, up 20 again. We were up 10 pretty much, comfortably up 10 pretty much the whole game. And then in the last 5 minutes, we all know what happened. So that was the worst. The blame that game, I'm going to put it on Chris Finch. He had a lot of bad decisions down the stretch there. Namely, keeping Rudy Gobert in instead of Naz Reid at the end of the game, which has been a extremely common mistake that Finch has made this season.
Mm-hmm.
The Charlotte game, I don't know. I'm going to put that one on. I don't think Jaden had a great game.
Sure.
It was LaMelo kind of schooled him. I'm going to put that one on the players. They have to come out. They have to come out a lot better after the All-Star break. They had a week off. No excuses to lose to the worst team in the NBA. Well, second worst team in the NBA in Charlotte. No excuses after the break to lose that game. So I'm going to put that game on the players. Now let's go to last night. I'm going to put the blame. I'm going to put it on Anthony Edwards last night.
Good for you.
He was not attacking. He didn't get involved early. Yeah.
I'll give you my pie chart. We have some similarities.
Instead of pie chart, I just did game by game who was to blame. So
Sure.
Finch was Washington. The players as a whole were Charlotte.
Yep.
And last night, I guess I'll say Ant, but I want it for the record that we'd be the 14 seed without him.
Correct. Finch, 40% of the blame over the last 3 games to me, which is the most of anybody I have on this list. I don't know what it is. I'm out of answers as to why this team is doing this every single game. But it was a thing last year too, and I think it's baked. The term he likes to use is it's in their DNA.
Oh, it was an issue last year? It was an issue? I don't know. I didn't know that it was an issue. I mean, I went to game 3 of the playoffs. It didn't seem to be an issue there.
Yeah, so obviously that's sarcastic.
26 points.
And Chris Finch is, like I said, I'm out of answers as to what he could possibly do. Besides little things, I guess, nitpicking. You like to talk about rotations, leaving Ant in the game for 2 more minutes at the end of a quarter. On Dane's podcast today, they talked about possibly when they're up by 12 in the first quarter, taking him out 2 minutes earlier.
I don't mind that.
To rest him, because right now he is gassed. There's no other way to say it. You watched that game last night. He was not Anthony Edwards.
As he should be. He should be gassed. He's carried us on his back for the last 3 months, and he's 21 years old.
Right. So to an extent, that's why it's hard to blame him for a lot of things. But if you're talking about why it's happening, you can say that like it's because of him in a way, but that's not like bagging on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he is a big reason they blow games. He's not very good in the clutch, but it's hard to bag on him because he does so much for the rest of the game. So I have Ant as 30%, and that's not like a bad thing on Ant. That's just the fact that he has the ball late in games. He takes terrible shots most of the time. Sure, he could use a whistle here and there, get to the line more, because he doesn't get to the line at all. Until the fourth quarter, which this has nothing to do with blowing games. This has to do with effort. He does not box out until the fourth quarter. He does not do the little things defensively, which is infuriating because I know he can do it. And I know he's gassed, so that's why I'm not putting it all on him. But so I have 40% Chris Finch, which I don't even have the answers to why, but he's the head coach. And this has been happening for 2 years now. Ant's 30%. The rest of the starters, because he's the most important player on the team. That's why.
I know.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that he is 30% in this equation, but he is. So I have to. He is the best player, and he has not been a closer his entire career yet.
Yeah.
Sure, it's like every once in a while he'll make a big shot, and it looks good, but 5 out of 6 games, he's taken a tough step back 3 that doesn't drop.
Let me point out that in the Charlotte game, he had some incredible moments down the stretch there in that fourth quarter. We wouldn't even be having this conversation if we closed out that game.
Correct.
The Sacramento game a few weeks ago, extremely clutch moments. The Golden State game a few months ago, 2 clutch buckets.
No, this isn't a blame on why. How do I put this? This is about blowing games. This isn't about why we have struggled this year, just in general. Ant would be 0%. it's about blowing games. It's the fourth quarter. He struggles. He just does. Yeah. The rest of the starters, I give 20% to because, like, I don't know, Mike Conley has come in and we're still blowing leads. Like, he was supposed to sort of help take part in the ship of not turning the ball over and taking good shots and getting us in good positions. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the games, but we're still taking tough shots and we're still turning the ball over. Rudy Gobert is inept on the offensive end of the floor, so he's not doing much there. And teams tend to go 5 out late in the games when it really matters, and that takes him off the floor half the time. Kyle Anderson, I don't know. He's probably been our best clutch player. No, he has. He has probably been our best clutch player. He doesn't take that many shots late in the games, but he doesn't make errors.
What about just the last 3 games? How bad has he been?
He's struggled. He's not our biggest concern at all. Jaden McDaniels has bad clutch numbers too. He just has. 10%. The final bit is this doesn't have a ton to do with the actual blowing of the game, but the bench tends to, at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, say we're up by 15 points. It somehow becomes 5 points when the starters come back in. And then we're on pins and needles the rest of the way. If the bench could instead have that 15-point lead turn into 20-point lead when the starters come in, we'd win every time. Probably.
Same with the first quarter. That happens in the first quarter too. We're up by big after the first quarter. Then the second quarter just slowly gets less and less.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like this team is good when the other teams – people say in the NBA, like, teams don't start trying until the fourth quarter. The Wolves are almost the opposite, it feels like. Not necessarily in an effort way, but in just the way they play and the smarts. Sure, they'll turn the ball over throughout the game, but how come it's just when it gets to the crunch time, the other teams just start playing so much better, and we start playing so much worse, whereas in the first 3 quarters, we are very, very good. We are. Our defense usually is top-notch in those quarters, and our offense has not been bad. Our starting lineup net rating is like plus 12. Like, that's really good. But half the time, our starting lineup isn't what's closing the game. So I don't know if that's an answer to this, but I don't know. I mean, it's been a concern. Starting at the end of the year last year, it felt like it wasn't a real thing until it really opened our eyes in the playoffs, which people say in the playoffs, you get exposed for your wrongdoings. Clearly, we got exposed against the Grizzlies for rebounding and closing games.
But do you want to know what I was thinking about? I think Chris Finch blew the Grizzlies series. Do you remember late in Game 5 when all those offensive rebounds were being like gobbled up by the Grizzlies? Do you remember that?
And that's the game Ant hit the big shot and then Ja had the finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
All those big shots were as a result of getting a stop but not getting the rebound. And the biggest thing was, I remember with it was early in the fourth quarter, Finch took out Vanderbilt and put in McDaniels, and Jaden's not a great rebounder. And almost all of those offensive rebounds were because of Jaden not boxing out his guy, and I think it was Clark getting rebounds and just throwing them back out. Like, if Vanderbilt's out there, I can't believe I'm talking about last series. Like, if Vanderbilt's out there, I don't think that happens, or it's a much smaller percent chance of happening. So just there's a lot of these things with Finch that just keep rearing its head. I don't know what it is.
Last year, he was brilliant for the most part. Playoffs, he struggled a bit. This year, he has been underwhelming, to say the least. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he was so confident in how this trade would end up. He said, quote unquote, it was seamless. It would be a seamless
would
fit
for the season. Seamless.
Yeah. That has been far from the truth. I mean, he was obviously in the room when the call was made for Rudy Gobert. It was not blown under the rug. He was not taken aback by it. He was a part of the conversation, and he clearly probably said that I can figure this out. He's been with, and I don't love the comparisons. People say he's coached DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis in New Orleans, and he's coached Jokic and Nurkic in Denver, and he's coached Dwight Howard. Rudy Gobert is not DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis. Those guys are really good on the offensive end. Same Nurkic and Jokic are both really good on the offensive end. Rudy Gobert is quite honestly inept unless he's 1 foot from the basket catching an alley-oop. So I don't know. I mean, Cat. If it was Cat and I don't know DeMarcus Cousins 5 years ago, it probably worked pretty well.
Or Cat and Miles Turner.
That probably worked pretty well. Cat and Jared Allen, it probably worked pretty well. Just Jared Allen can't shoot, but can catch anything. He is very athletic. So
Just
I don't know.
Someone who isn't challenged on offense.
Correct. Rudy is just it's a struggle, and I would say the Conley Gobert thing has been better than what any other player has done with Rudy.
You're not going to win a championship. You're not going to win a championship building around Rudy Gobert.
I think last game was the first alley-oop Ant threw against Charlotte at the way end of the game. He threw that alley-oop to Rudy. I think that was the first time all year. Yeah, he threw an alley-oop to Rudy. That is the first time all year. It's it's unbelievable. So yeah, I don't know, man. This where we go from here. Where do we go from here? That's what I want to talk about next. The schedule gets only more difficult. Like the Warriors, this road trip might have been the easiest game, considering the fact that they had no Steph, no Draymond, no Wiggins, none of those guys. Like, I don't know what LeBron's ankle is like. If he doesn't play, that Lakers game might be a bit easier. But if he plays, they're playing really well.
They are playing well. I think that's the easiest game.
That's easier than the Warriors.
Yeah, I don't know.
They just have so many more options. Like, sure, hate on D'Lo all you want, but he can make shots.
Yeah, but
hate on Warriors, Beasley all you want.
Hit everything. They hit everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's how much of this is luck against the Wolves? I swear to God, teams do not miss inside 5 minutes of the fourth quarter against them. They just don't miss. No, Anthony Lamb, top of the arc last night. I knew that was going in. Dante DiVincenzo,
fade away.
Yeah. I mean, with Clay, it's like, yeah, Clay is a very good shooter, but Anthony.
Why wasn't Ant on Clay?
He was. Multiple times in the fourth quarter, Ant was guarding Clay.
Man, he had a bad game.
Yeah, he did. Well, Ant's not good at climbing around screens. No. Jaden's pretty good at that. Jaden did a great job in the first quarter. I'm not sure when they switched it up. It might have been the fourth quarter.
Austin is supposedly good at it too, but he had a rough game last night too.
He's been bad for 2 months. He has to be out of the rotation sometime soon. He is worse than Jalen Noel.
Maybe.
I mean, Jalen Noel in 3-man lineups that have we talked about this over text, over 200 minutes. The best 3-man lineup combo is Jalen Noel, Jordan McLaughlin, Anthony Edwards. That's pretty astonishing.
J-Mac has not been good.
Ever since J-Mac came back from his injury, he hasn't been the same. Careless turnovers, which is what he doesn't do. So, yeah, I don't know. All of these guys, I mean, and the biggest issue of them all is I know we wanted D'Lo gone, and I still think it was the right move because you had to get something for him. But I should have known more to the fact that Anthony Edwards is the only player that can score the ball right now.
Oh, my gosh. I know. Well, Nas, right?
Are you going to win a lot of games when Nas Reed is your second most reliable scorer? No, you're not. So that's why we need Cat back. Even though I know Cat but you got other stuff to worry about when Cat comes back.
It's a horribly constructed team. Horrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
So how bad does it have to get for them to consider Finch's job by the end of the season?
It won't. I mean, I guess if you lose every single game the rest of the season, but no, they're not going to fire Finch.
You imagine the record ends up being like 30-45.
They're not going to fire him. He's got multiple years left on his deal. It looked pretty dumb of them to fire him too. Like,
no, yeah, I don't think they're going to fire him.
And
there'd be a backlash.
This guy's the fall guy. Yeah, they're not going to do it. They're not going to fire him. I want stability. We've been texting about this constantly. My dream
name is
coach,
bringing Udoka.
yeah. My dream coach is Ime Udoka. I think he would bring this team a championship. I think Ant would love playing for him. It's not going to happen, but I can dream. Whoever hires him is making an incredible decision. Whoever hires Ime Udoka is going to be
He'd fit right in. I mean, he likes
in good hands.
He likes having fun with other people in the organization.
Office.
Yeah. So I don't even know. I mean, we play the Clippers tomorrow night.
Loss. It's going to be a loss. This is like the gauntlet. This is like the gauntlet at the end of December, where it was like, oh, we have Boston, we have New Orleans, we're at Miami, we're at Milwaukee. This is like that.
Yeah. But they need wins. They can't.
Yeah, and they're not going to get them.
I just feel like at this point, I mean, their schedule is tough pretty much the rest of the way. If they're like, I don't know, if the Lakers pass them, I don't see us catching back up.
Mm-mm.
So, and if we miss the play-in,
that's not going to happen. We'll be the 10 seed.
There's a possibility. There's a possibility.
Yeah. Then what do you do? You can't run it back.
Oh, you can't. But then the only thing they can bank on the fact that Gobert and Cat have only played what at that point 30 games, maybe
21. Oh yeah. You're right. He's got to get back so it can show the front office that it doesn't work and that you need to trade one of them.
So you want it. So in you saying that, we've gone over this before.
I know.
You want it not to work.
I know it doesn't work.
If they win a round in the playoffs, if they make to the playoffs and go 7 games, they're not trading him.
I know.
They could lose in the first round. They're not trading him.
Unfortunately, I think I might have to sacrifice however fun that's going to be. That 7-game first round series, I'm going to have to sacrifice that for the greater good of this franchise if it guarantees that you're trading one of these to get some assets back.
But worst possible scenario is they miss the play-in and they don't trade anybody.
It is. It's the worst possible situation you can have. And I don't know that they do that, but it's the perfect excuse. That's what's so frustrating about this whole thing and this dumb front office that we have. They're awful.
Well, Lori and A-Rod, I think they've shown that they want to be really good. And I can't picture them watching this season and being okay with another season that could possibly be the same.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
but the excuse is, oh, well, Carl was out for however long. We don't know.
Well, they
do know.
No, it's up to them though, and I don't see them caring that much about that. They watched the first 20 games. It was horrible.
It was the worst thing I've ever watched on a basketball court, and that's saying something.
The vibes were low.
I was so mad watching those games because I saw what it was doing to Ant, and man, it hurt.
What are your thoughts? And Dane and Britt were talking about this today too. How about the landscape of this roster and how they felt that, or at least it seems they feel like the best way to go about it is have Ant and Jaden, and then a bunch of old farts like Rudy Conley, Kyle Anderson, those types of players. Do you think that's the right way to go about it? Or are you more of the opinion that they should, I don't know, because that's more of a win now thing. Would you be opposed to trading, say in a hypothetical world, you trade those guys and maybe you aren't great next year, but you have young players that fit the Ant timeline?
Give me that every single day.
But they might not be that good next year.
But I still think we would be good.
Probably
I
decent.
do. Because you're going to have guys that are going to try. You have guys that are going to be, energetic. And like I said, I texted you. I think this year has been incredible for Ant. He's learned how to lead a team, have it on his back. And he still has
a long way to go.
The best thing that could have happened was that cat injury. Unfortunately, you never want to see anybody get hurt. But the way that season was going, the way those first 21 games of the season were going,
sure,
I have no idea where the hell we'd be right now. I think it could have screwed up Ant's development, if I'm being completely honest. And I think ever since that, it's only helped it. It's only gotten it better and better. So everything happens for a reason. So I'm happy that he's taken that quote unquote leap this year. So much more to go. But yes, I want to trade Cat. I'd trade Rudy if I could too, to get picks, get guys that fit this timeline, and really build something special.
There's a world where they don't do anything this offseason.
I know.
There's also a world where they do a ton and they realize this was an utter mistake and we have to just tear everything again and just build around Ant and Jaden.
Yeah.
They trade maybe they keep Cat too. They trade Rudy.
Well,
they trade someone like Taurean Prince.
They can't trade Rudy, can they?
They could if they wanted to.
Well, yeah, but how will that make?
No, correct. It's unlikely because that's just walking back on what you did. So you could not trade Rudy, but like again, if you're totally building again, there's no reason to keep Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. You can walk back what you did without admitting that you walk back, without admitting that you're walking back, and that's by trading Cat,
Yeah. And I think that's the most
thing.
likely.
It's like, why keep Rudy then?
Yeah. Well, because you're still sort of in win now mode then. Like if you have a whole season where you trade Cat and you bring a couple other rotation players that might be pretty solid, you have Ant, you have Jaden, you have Rudy. I don't know if you still have Mike Conley.
Yeah, he'll be next year. Yeah.
Taurean Prince, players like that. You'll still have Kyle Anderson, but you'll also have a couple others rotation players that are probably better than Austin Rivers. It's probably better than Jalen Noel. I don't know. It's just players like that could make this team better overall. I'd like Josh Minot to
Naz Reid.
Yeah, Naz Reid. If you trade Cat, Naz Reid is a thing. So I think trading Cat overall does make this team better, but the question would still lie as in who's the next scorer behind Ant.
I know.
That's where a Rudy trade would make more sense in terms of the roster.
Of course it would.
You're not getting the assets back that you would get with Cat trading. So I don't know. They got big decisions to make. Big decisions. I think no matter how this season ends, they could make the second round of the playoffs in a lucky fashion, and you still would have to question the roster going into next year.
Yeah.
I believe.
What do you think is the most likely thing that the front office does in the summer?
Nothing.
You think they'll just...
Well, maybe a couple moves here and there, but no big Cat trade or Rudy or something like that. I don't predict a huge thing happening. It could happen. If I had to put money on something, I would predict nothing to happen just because their excuse is laying right in front of them.
I know. And then what happens next year? We're in the same exact position.
Or they get a lot better.
20 games in next year and it looks horrible. And then it's the same thing over and over again. It's such a joke.
Yeah, but what if they get better next year? That could happen.
I don't see it happening.
It could. I mean, there's no chemistry. If they build chemistry, we haven't thought about this much at all, but rarely does a team get just thrown together like this and become really good. Especially when it's a goofy fit like this, like two centers. Cat's never done this before.
Well, maybe if it's a goofy fit, then it doesn't work, and you shouldn't put stuff like that together. How come when the rest of the league is going small, we decided to go the complete opposite of that and go big? Why did we do it? It doesn't work. It's the dumbest trade of all time. I mean, we've texted about this so much, but it's inexcusable. It's indefensible. And
I wasn't opposed to zagging while the whole league was zigging. I saw what Cleveland was doing. It's just
but you can't do it with someone who's
last year's roster. As much as we had liked a bunch of the players, that roster had a ceiling, and it wasn't that high because they had
dude, that was 20-year-old Anthony Edwards. He's 20-year-old Anthony Edwards.
It has nothing to do with him. He
Yeah, but
doesn't.
that
he
would have
doesn't-
raised the ceiling of the team. It would have raised the ceiling of the team. We would have been
right
better.
a little
With
bit, but not that
Vanderbilt
much.
and McDaniels.
You still have issues with the bench. You still have issues with rebounding. Ant, you watched him last night. He's still not rebounding to his capabilities. Jaden McDaniels doesn't rebound his capabilities. Cat is not a great defender. That roster would have needed changes to become much better.
They needed tweaks. They did not need whatever the hell they did.
They needed a Cat trade. They needed. I tell you what, I watch a lot of NBA games on League Pass. There are so many centers that I legitimately think like are better than Rudy.
Oh my gosh.
Like I was watching freaking Mason Plumlee last night on the Clippers against the Nuggets. He was really good. And the reason is just I want an athletic center. That's what I want.
Both Cat and Rudy are not.
I want somebody that can not get torn up if the other team goes 5 out. And I want a center that can catch the ball. You can throw it to him and he'll catch it and he'll finish.
Is that too much to ask?
I don't know. I mean,
joke. I think being sarcastic.
Do you think Jared Allen is better? I think Jared Allen might be better than Rudy.
He is better.
Defensively, as a drop coverage big, Rudy is a little better. But in every other facet of the game, Jared Allen is a better player.
And then you factor in what we gave up.
Right. That's where it becomes sad. But I don't want to talk about that anymore because there's other things to talk. We can look forward. We don't have to look back as much. So yeah. Well, I think we've hit on some good things. We've got 37
Can I say
minutes.
something real quick?
Yeah.
You talked about the ownership and not wanting to, repeat what they did this year. They're the ones dumb enough that green lighted this trade. So who knows?
They're dumb. They're dumb. They obviously wanted to make a splash trade and win. VCP. They wanted a vision. They had a vision of winning. Clearly not the right vision. Capital. They have all the capital they want. That's not an issue, clearly, according to that guy on Dane's podcast, the biggest Wolves fan of all time and the biggest Mark Laurie stan of all time. And people, they think Rudy Gobert is a good person. Rudy is a good person. He's a good culture guy. I don't mind him as a culture guy. But they just made the wrong move at the wrong time.
We're in the business of winning. You got to win at any price. I don't care what people are like. You got to win.
Last year's team would have needed another move in a couple of years to make the big leap. It was just the wrong time and the wrong player. Hell, DeJounte Murray with Ant right now and Jaden, and maybe you don't have to give up Vando. Maybe you don't have to give up Beasley. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure didn't the Hawks just give up draft capital?
It's possible.
They gave up like 3 unprotected firsts for a much better player. I really like Murray. Murray's a great player.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a head case in the locker room, but he's a really good player.
He's such a good defender. He's a good scorer. He doesn't need the ball all the time. I really like Murray.
Yeah. No, Ant and Murray would probably be a pretty solid backcourt with Jaden and Vanderbilt, and then you have Cat.
Yeah.
And that would be a team that could probably get better and better every year.
Oh yeah.
With small tweaks around maybe some point, maybe you do trade Cat, get a lesser paid center, and maybe stack up the bench a little bit and get some assets and get more draft capital. You know what? We'd be really good GMs.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to my trade from the summer. You can find it on YouTube where proposal,
not the Peyton Pritchard.
Proposal was Cat for Robert Williams, one of the elite shot blocking centers in the whole league, who is also, more competent on offense than Rudy by a lot. And probably a better shot blocker too, and way younger on a much better contract. He's on a phenomenal contract. 2 was Grant Williams, power forward for the Celtics. Great defender, can hit the 3, would be great off the bench. I don't know. Maybe he would even start for us. I don't know. Let's see. You'd have
At the time, it would have been, I guess, D'Lo, Ant, Jaden, I guess, yeah, Williams and Williams. That'd be our starting unit. Really good. Or maybe Vando would be starting and you'd have Williams on the bench. But so I had that, and then the last one was Peyton Pritchard. That was the last piece. Who's he's kind of like J-Mac, but I guess a little worse. But whatever. I just wanted him. He's an asset. Throw him in. Plus 2 unprotected first round picks. That was such a good trade. Looking back on it now, seriously, like that's what we hope to get this summer. That type of deal.
How does that money fit?
It didn't. That was the problem. The money didn't fit. But we would have found a third team.
Throw in Danilo Gallinari.
Well, yeah, we would have found a third team for something. But seriously, those contracts are phenomenal. The Robert Williams contract is probably one of the best contracts in the whole league, right next to Vando. So we'd have a phenomenal money situation. We'd have all the picks in the world. We'd be building around Ant. And, man, that's just such a better – and younger team who would play hard.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good place to stop. We'll have another episode sooner rather than later. I was out of town for a week during the All-Star break, strategically planned. But the Wolves are now playing the Clippers tomorrow night. They got the Lakers on Friday. So some big games. They should be entertaining games. They'll probably be up in the third quarter and then blow the lead. At this point, it's almost in their head now. It gets to the point where it's so bad that when you're up, you just know what's going to happen, even though it's clear. All you got to do is try harder on defense.
Yeah.
And not turn the ball over on offense. Get shots, and you'd probably win these games.
But when I watch these games, I'm not comfortable unless we're up by 10. How sad is that? I'm literally not comfortable unless we are up by 10 points. Yeah. As soon as it gets to 9, I literally go, oh, crap. Here we go.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends. And when you're it's the vibe of when you're playing at the Warriors, I don't care who's playing for them. It's just that crowd's always rowdy and they make 1 or 2 threes. And then it's the momentum is just unstoppable. So thanks everybody for listening to the JT Sports Show today. We'll be back maybe later this week. If the Wolves win tomorrow night, we might have to do another episode just to bring back some positive vibes because that would be a big one.
I don't think they're going to.
I don't think so either, but that's why if they do win, we can flip the tone on this narrative that the season is quite honestly over. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Go follow us on all social media platforms. Like the video, subscribe to the podcast, and we will be having more episodes and more content. But everybody have a good day. Let's go.